Hi, Jason. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me, Sarah.
The CIA just released this Ark of the Covenant remote viewing file. And remote viewing, I've actually been training with the Future Forecasters group. Nobody's probably going to ever hire me to do it, but I want to learn what it's about. And the amazing thing is that they can take anything. They're going to talk about they have a double blind thing on Mars or a double blind thing on gold or a double blind. And all of them are at least in the ballpark of talking about gold or talking about Mars, which is absolutely amazing. So when
Yeah,
I hear that the intelligence agencies are using remote viewers and this method, it makes sense to me.
100%. I mean, it's not something new. And I know a lot of people see these things being shared and they're like, "Oh my God, look what they just shared." But this is things that have been done in the 1970s, the 1980s. So it's not something new. Remote viewing is not something I do. It's people that I've worked with for sure in many different cases. A good friend of mine, her name is Patricia Mona, based out of Canada. The I forgot what it's called, the Royal Canadian, it's like the FBI in Canada, essentially.
Okay.
And when they can't find a body, they call Patricia. She found 31 bodies
Yep. Isn't
that
that
were
crazy?
missing through ways that I don't completely understand, but it works, right? They literally find the bodies.
Yeah, and the fact that they can target it, like I was saying with the future forecasting group, they give them a double blind study, meaning the person giving it to them doesn't know, or it's target. The
Yeah.
person giving it to them doesn't know, and they don't know what it is. And then they all do it individually, like eight of them. And if it's on gold, they're all talking about gold. It's like of
Yeah.
all the things in the world, they are on target. It's so much more accurate than you would think it would be.
It's amazing stuff. And what you're talking about with the CIA, with the Ark of the Covenant, we can dive into that.
Yeah.
Give you a few facts for everybody to know that they can actually look up. And then I'll dive into some interesting aspects that
Tell
connect
us,
to
yeah,
some interesting stuff.
tell us what it is first, and then
Okay, so there's a project called Project Sunstreak. Okay, like streaking the sun, Project Sunstreak. You can look this up, you can read about it. Project Sunstreak deals with the use of something called psychoenergetics. It's a fancy word for spiritual, non-comprehensive stuff that we don't really understand.
mhm.
And it's where they used remote viewing. Now, this was done in the 1970s, the 1980s. It's a project in this case, when it comes to Project Sunscreen, owned and controlled by the CIA and the DIA, which is the Defense Intelligence Agency, where they call them psychics, they're remote viewers who have the abilities called remote viewing to gather intelligence on what they call targets using coordinates. So the way that it works is they give certain coordinates. They don't tell them what they're doing, where they're going. And they say, here are the coordinates wherever we're giving them to you, latitude, longitude. This is what we want you to do. Tell us what you see. And in this case, they used a bunch of them, over 30 of them that didn't know each other, that weren't working together, all coming back with the same exact thing.
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. Just crazy.
Correct. Now, I want to read some of the findings real quick from those CIA documents that were shared. This one is from remote viewer number 32 on December 5th, 1988. This individual conducted a session for 90 minutes from 9:15 in the morning to 10:45 in the morning, so 90 minutes, an hour and a half. And it said the following, and all they had were coordinates. What the CIA and the DIA were looking for was, could this be where the Ark of the Covenant is? And the coordinates that they gave them was in Jerusalem, right underneath what's now called the Dome of the Rock, which is a massive, massive mosque. It's the big golden one that you see in a lot of pictures in Jerusalem. So it says the following. Target is a container, meaning they're saying the target that they're looking for looks like a container. This container has another container inside of it. The target is fashioned of wood, gold, and silver. The target is similar in shape to a coffin, and it is decorated with seraphim, which are like kind of like eagle-looking gold structures. This target is located somewhere in the Middle East, as the language spoken by individuals present seemed to be Arabic, which, by the way, if you look today, it's a mosque. That's exactly what they speak around there. Visuals of surrounding buildings indicated the presence of mosque domes. The target is hidden underground, dark, and wet were all aspects of the location of the target. The purpose of the target is to bring a people together, meaning it's some sort of religious object. This is the Ark of the Covenant. It has something to do with ceremony, memory, homage, the resurrection. There is an aspect of spirituality, information, lessons, and historical knowledge far beyond what we know. The target, and this was the interesting part, the target is protected by entities or energies.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah.
Yeah, and can only be opened now by those who are authorized to do so. This container will not and cannot be opened until the time is deemed correct. Once it is time to open the container, the mechanics of the lock system will be found to be fairly simple. Individuals opening the container by prying or striking are destroyed by the container's energies and protectors through the use of a power unknown to us.
It's Indiana Jones stuff. And the beings decide who can open it.
We can call them beings, we can call them entities. I call them energies, meaning the way that it was explained to me and what we're reading now that was actually shared now was given to me in a document that was shared on September 9th of 2020 called the Pyramid Code. It's a document that's free to download on my website. People can also watch the entire series that we turned it into on Unified TV. And the document says this directly, and it explains where when you're trying to go and open this thing, it's going to kill you if you're not the right person to do that. So I asked, well, what does that really mean? And the way that it was explained to me, and I don't understand it completely, but the way that it was explained to me was there's an energy embedded within it, call it like almost like a higher resonance, a higher frequency,
Yeah.
where if me and you were to go and try to open it or touch it and we don't meet that frequency, it will electrocute you. You're not going to make it.
So it's not the beings making a decision. It's we have to, our frequency has to rise.
Well, whoever embedded that made a decision. The decision was you have to be here in order to do that. That was done whenever those things were created and planted over there underneath the Dome of the Rock.
I've heard that there's other places around the world that have that same energy field around it.
I disagree, and I'll tell you why. So
I don't know
let's,
about the same one, but other
yeah.
ones. Go ahead.
So let's start with the fact that everybody acknowledges the Ark of the Covenant exists. The only thing in question is its location specifically. So there have been claims that were made that it was taken from there and moved to Ethiopia. It's not there, and I'll tell you why it's not there. There are several decoys around the world. I personally, and this is just my opinion, I believe this information is being shared today in the way that it's being shared to get people to look elsewhere from the actual location of where this one and only Ark of the Covenant is. Meaning there are decoys to get attention to look elsewhere because of the power that this, what I call a technology, actually holds. In my opinion, they would never share this if it were true, especially with the CIA being behind it, because there are powers that be that
So
control
you
those agencies.
so you think this is a decoy?
Well, I mean, the Daily Mail, right? They wrote about the CIA findings just a few days ago. And what it literally says, and I'll read it to you, is a long-standing religious legend in Ethiopia describes how the Ark of the Covenant was brought there by a man named Menelik, who was supposedly the son of the Queen of Sheba and Israel's King Solomon. The Queen of Sheba was from Ethiopia but ruled over a kingdom in modern-day Yemen. According to legend, she gave birth to Menelik in her country of origin, but he later traveled to Jerusalem to study with his father. While there, he supposedly stole the ark and brought it back to Axum, Ethiopia. Locals say it has resided in the church of Our Lady Mary of Zion ever since. British scholar of Semitic languages and Ethiopian studies Edward Ullendorf claimed he saw the ark inside the church during World War II. But a source close to Ullendorf later revealed that the artifact he saw was nothing more than a replica. What he saw was what you find in any Ethiopian church, which is a model of the Ark of the Covenant. So, what it's basically saying is there are individuals who know what this thing actually looks like, who have a history of understanding certain replicas made of the Ark of the Covenant, and is claiming that that is not the Ark of the Covenant. Now, we could base our conclusion on what that guy said, but we can also use logic. look at certain things that are going on around that part of the planet, specifically in Jerusalem over the Dome of the Rock. In 2011, I think it was in January, if I'm not mistaken, of 2011, there was a UFO incident. And it's on video, and you can YouTube UFO Jerusalem, and you'll see the same video from multiple different angles, meaning it can't be doctored because it's coming from many different people and many different angles. And what it shows is this weird looking orb craft right over the Dome of the Rock, which, according to history, the Ark of the Covenant is underneath the Dome of the Rock. It's hovering over the Dome of the Rock, and then suddenly it shoots right up at speeds that are incomprehensible, to us at least. So, why is that happening there if there's nothing there and it's somewhere else?
So you think it's not a decoy then? You think it probably is there, but the CIA put out proper, I mean, they put out good information this time.
Yes, but what they're also saying is they believe that it could be in Ethiopia. They don't know exactly if it's in Jerusalem. I believe it's in Jerusalem. I don't believe it was ever moved because if it were moved by somebody that isn't at the proper call it like energy based on the individuals that put that together, they would have a problem. You can't just move something like that. So I believe that part of what the CIA is saying is correct, meaning it is in Jerusalem, but they kind of threw something in there saying it could also be in Ethiopia, and this is where we believe that it could be. And it's kind of misleading and kind of creating confusion over there.
Just a short break from the program to share with you an amazing peptide to help you lose weight. It's stronger than Ozempic. And why? It's because it not only reduces your appetite, but it also burns fat. These other GLP-1s on the market, they do not burn fat. They just reduce your appetite. This one, retatrutide, is stronger. It's considered a next generation peptide because of that. And man, does this work. I've been using it for 2.5 weeks and I've already lost 11 pounds, and I cut my dose in half because I was losing weight too quickly. And that kind of freaked me out, to be honest. And so I also am taking this 5 amino 1MQ in capsule form. This helps by making sure that you lose fat, not muscle. And so in conjunction, I'm using both of these. This will work whether you have this or not. And I am telling you, it's amazing. If you are interested in getting this, I have the link below, or you can go to sarahwestall.com under shop. You can use the coupon code Sarah to save 10%. If you have questions about your own use, you should either consult your doctor or you can join Dr. Diane's tribe. And I have a link below to that. It is only $1 for the first week. You can ask her any question you want and get all your answers to this, how to take an injectable. And there shouldn't be any fear in doing that. It is easy and straightforward. Go to sarahwestall.com under shop or use the link below. And remember to use coupon code Sarah. What is the Ark of the Covenant in your understanding?
Okay. The Ark of the Covenant, the way that I like to explain it, and it's not just that, it's other artifacts from back in the day. Look at the pyramids, for example.
Mm-hmm.
We see it and we say, this is just some rock that they created as a tomb. And now we know a few days ago with certain revelations that came out, there's a lot more than just a rock and a tomb.
That's
They're
right.
underground structures that have advanced engineering with mathematical constants, meaning there's some sort of not just scientific understanding, but spiritual awareness that they had back then that we've lost today. Same thing with the Ark of the Covenant. It's not just a box with something in it. There's an energy embedded into that. And over time, as certain things like that are uncovered, we will find what that is and hopefully understand more of it. But I look at it as more of an advanced version of technology that we do not understand today that can help us connect in different ways and do things in different ways. And that's why it's such a holy artifact that the entire world and the powers that be are after.
So when I said earlier that I've heard there's other places with energy like this, not protecting the Ark of the Covenant, but other artifacts. Have you heard that, or you don't believe that's true?
Yes. So just like in the human body, we have a lot of different cells and organs and
Mhm.
things like that, but there are main energy centers within the human body scientifically and what they call pseudoscience. But they agree on both sides where the body does have certain points where energy intersects. Well, the earth does as well. It's an organism just like the body, it just looks different. So, for example, the pyramids are hosted and built in Egypt on something called the intersection of ley lines. Ley lines are how energy flows through this planet and around this planet, and where they intersect creates some sort of what they call a vortex. So the pyramids are one of them. The Dead Sea is another one of them. The Dome of the Rock is another one of them, which is in Jerusalem. They exist all over the planet, but to my knowledge, and I can't prove this, this is what was shared with me through certain individuals of very, very high classifications. There are 36 main points around this planet of those very, very powerful energy points. But the strongest one is right underneath the Dome of the Rock. As a matter of fact, it's within the Dome of the Rock called the Foundation Stone. So that mosque in Jerusalem is built around a massive boulder. That boulder is called the Foundation Stone. In Hebrew, they call it Even Hashtiyah. The foundation stone is called the foundation stone because it's believed to be where creation emerged out from the non-physical to the physical, and everything else was created from there as far as this planet goes. So again, I can't prove that, but that's where biblical scholars and how they explain it. Multiple religions, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, all explain the foundation stone to be one of the most powerful places on this planet.
Because of the energy. Now, you study quantum physics, right? Quantum, and this is all tied to quantum physics, right? Or no?
Everything is tied to quantum physics.
Yeah. So the ley lines and the ley lines and quantum physics. Now, quantum physics, I just had someone tell me the other day that, Tesla's work was based on quantum physics. And there was a decision at some point that the universities are going to teach the standard, the physics that we have right now, and ignore quantum physics. And
Yes.
that we are in this period of ignorance because it's on purpose to keep us away from learning about these. And it's starting to happen now where they're starting to learn about it, but not really.
Yeah, because of how the world works today. So, like, we see things like water, energy, electricity, oil, gas. These are the energy sectors essentially, and basically our birthright that we're being charged for. Those are things that we should not be charged for. Water is something that you should not be charged for. Right here in my home, in the front of my home, I have a well. I don't pay for water because water is something that's a part of this planet. That if you simply have a pump to pump it, I would have to pay for the electricity of the pump because they're
The
charging us for
service of
that,
it. Yeah.
the service of it itself, but they're not just charging you for the service. They're charging us for something that's free in exorbitant amounts. And when somebody like Nikola Tesla comes out and says, well, wait a second, the pyramids may be free energy generators or really just energy generators that we can tap into, that's when JP Morgan comes in, Thomas Edison comes in, but specifically JP Morgan, and they say, we don't like that because we're charging people for electricity and you're finding ways to make it wireless. And if you make it wireless and not meterable, meaning we can't meter your use of electricity, we
Yep.
can't charge you for something that's free. We can no longer be trillion-dollar corporations. So that's the conflict of interest that's going on here, but it doesn't change the fact that energy is free. We're just being charged for it.
Well, my understanding is that there was a scandal. I don't know if you know anything about this, the Enron situation, that Enron was actually going to do some zero point energy stuff and that they were taken down because they were venturing into energy that they did not want the people to have.
That's 100% accurate from what I was looking into as well. But Enron is a whole different story because now that connects to things that we're not talking about here, like 9/11, like a lot of scandals that they were actually doing, meaning they were doing great things, they were doing not so great things as
Yeah,
well.
they were a big
And
corporation.
yeah, and if you looked at the investors of Enron, Bush, who was the president at the time, his family was a major investor in Enron. And when the fire started in Building 7, which was part of the World Trade Center complex, while the two big towers were going down, and that's a whole story in and of itself, Building 7 had a fire in the FBI headquarters where the FBI was looking into Enron. And where the fire started, it just so happened to be where all the paperwork to take Enron down was. And then that whole building collapsed as well, even though the fire was only in one left corner of the building, which doesn't make any
I know.
sense.
It was still silly. So anybody who realistically looks at that with any kind of thinking knows that it was you know,
Correct. But anybody that looks into or creates anything according to free energy technology, if you pay attention, they either disappear, they commit suicide or they die from some sort of complication. And that's a translation for they were probably killed because if they were to succeed in bringing that out to the world would be better off, but the powers that control the world today would not.
That's right. I mean, that's essentially the pattern that you see since day one, which is sad, right? Because we're being kept into a medieval time science so that they can preserve their cash cows and their
Correct.
power
Correct.
structures.
Yep.
Yeah. And with what you do, you've been getting into quantum physics and healing. Have you seen any roadblocks with, because you have a lot of clinics all over the world, have you seen roadblocks when it comes to that side?
Oh, yeah. We've had agencies, authorities try and shut certain things down. We've had people all around the world try to shut them down. What you're talking about is called Unified Healing. It's a network of over 500 wellness centers around the world. We did that in 2.5 years. Now,
Wow.
my game plan, I come from a real estate background, not this. I do this more so because I love it. It's a passion of mine. And I believe that there's a difference of somebody that goes to school for it and somebody that studies it because it's a passion. The
That's
people who
right.
study it because it's a passion generally in life get much further with those things because it's not something that's just this schooling thing, but it's like a part of you. It's a part of your soul.
Yep.
It's a part of your
Yep.
heart. So that's where I come from with it, of just wanting to see this world be healthier. But
Is it your company or are you a partner in it?
no, no, I'm the founder of Unified Healing.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So the way that we did it and the game plan was I knew that if we rolled it out slower, which has pros to it as well, there are cons as well. The pros to rolling it out slower is you make less mistakes along the way. The cons of rolling it out slower would be they could shut you down much quicker because you're not big enough and you're not strong enough. So I said, all of this needs to be everywhere very, 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 very fast. And we need to bring it to as many countries around the world, not just one jurisdiction like the United States. So in about 2.5, less than 3 years, we did 500 centers in 55 countries. Even if a health agency or authority were to come in Germany, okay, so you got 15 of them. But you still have all the other countries in Europe. You still have a lot of Africa. You still have a lot of Asia. You still have a lot of the US. You still have all of Canada. So it makes it virtually impossible to shut it down because the world is still parsed into different countries.
Yeah, wow. What an accomplishment. Did you have a lot of investors or was it all self-funded?
Zero and zero.
So you didn't self-fund it and you didn't have investors.
Correct. So I'll explain how we did it.
Okay.
What we do here is it's not a company, it's an organization. There's a difference between a company and an organization. A company is standard corporation. The consciousness behind that is let's build something, let's make money. People will win also along the way, but the person at the top wins the most. A mission-based organization is we're creating a movement here. And this movement can only succeed if enough people around the world make something happen and step up to the mission, which they did back in 2022. The reason why this succeeded is not because of me. The reason why this succeeded is because of the model that we created and the individuals that stepped up to support it. So these centers are not owned by me. I'm the founder of the organization of the mission, if you want to call it, to help bring awareness to these centers. But almost every single one of these wellness centers are owned by somebody else, meaning they're individual, independently owned, very unique in their own right, but they're all part of this mission. So everybody look at it as like decentralized versus centralized. When you centralize something, you have to fund everything, you have to do everything, but you also
Yep.
win a lot on the other side. When you decentralize, you have a lot of different nodes that make the whole. And that's exactly what unified healing is. Every single center and center owner is a different node of the whole. And together we created this mission. I'm helping lead it. I facilitate the leading of the mission and speaking about it. But without them, none of this would have been possible.
Wow. So that was how you did it so quickly and it was the right time. The timing was right and there was enough people that wanted to do it and you just did it. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And more and more people are learning about it and utilizing these centers for healing. Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I don't just believe, I know for a fact because I've seen it with my own eyes. There are a lot of amazing and incredible technologies out there that can do incredible things for the world.
That's right.
The problem is our medical system today is not a healthcare system, it's a sick care system. They do not have an interest in healing you because if they heal you, Well, then how are they going to make money? They make money by selling you things to keep you alive for a longer period of time, which they do, but they keep you alive with the average American being on 6 pharmaceutical drugs every single day. It's a massive, massive moneymaker. So I come from the world growing up, although my father was in commercial real estate, civil engineering all around the world, his passion, not his degree, but his passion was in alternative health and wellness because of his own journey that he went through. And by doing that on his own, he started sharing things with friends and family members. And when people were sick, he would say, try this, and it would work. And that got him deeper into it to a point where thousands and thousands of people every other day would be coming to my home growing up to meet with my father to get some sort of like, can you read my blood test? Because he studied that on his own.
Wow.
Can you
Yep.
show me which doctor to speak to? So
Yep.
the way that he went about it was not, do this in the conventional way. He said, you change your diet in this way. You take supplements in X, Y, and Z to rebalance A, B, and C.
Yep.
You check the levels of radiation in your home because that has a very big impact on the health of your body. You check the level of cleanliness and filtration of the water in your home because if you're drinking dirty water with chemicals in it, you're going to have a big problem. He took a more holistic approach that showed me that that coupled with certain energy-based technologies, which is what Nikola Tesla was basically building, technology based on energy, frequency, and vibration, because that's what we are.
Yep.
Energy-based technologies are the future of medicine. So
Yep.
seeing what he did, I said, you're doing this for fun. You do it because you enjoy it. I want to bring this to the next level. I want to continue your legacy. And now it means so much more because about 3 weeks ago, he passed away.
Mm.
And it gave me such a big fuel to this fire of what we're doing because it's him. It's just him on a higher level of what we're doing moving forward. So it's all about bringing unified healing is all about bringing forth, making accessible and affordable the best wellness technologies that are energy-based technologies around the world today anywhere from red light therapy, hyperbaric chambers, anywhere in between. But our main one that we focus on is called the light system. And the light system is not a new technology, but it's new to the awareness of people that uses light in a specific way to help rebalance the body, non-invasive. You walk into a room, you can even sleep in the room with this technology, creating the field that it's creating. And we've seen people with children with autism that were nonverbal start speaking again. People with anywhere from back pain that goes away to eyesight being reversed to hair growing back to the most severe things as well. And it's not the technology that's healing you. That's the beauty of this new paradigm. It's you that's healing yourself. The technology, because it's an energy based technology, is creating an environment for your body to synchronize with. And in this case, it's synchronizing with energetic coherence. So your body can then have coherency. When your body is coherent and balanced on the level of energy, dis-ease no longer occurs because dis-ease is simply a lack of flow of energy in the body. It gets stuck. If I can get that energy to start moving again, well, guess what? Your mental clarity becomes a whole lot better. Your back pain and your pain in your body starts lowering because that's an expression of dis-ease. You bring in ease of energetic flow, you have a completely different outcome. So that's our main thing that we focus on. A lot of the centers around the world have them. The light system technology is our main focus right now.
That's incredible. Are you getting any kind of support from mainstream medicine, or do they still, I mean, they don't have the ability to see it, do they?
So I've been in talks with some really awesome doctors. I don't know if you want to call them mainstream, but they're the top of what's not considered
Hmm.
mainstream. And I think right now our world is moving away from the conventional side and into other ways of doing things. So I've interviewed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. before, and we've spoken about some of the best technologies, this one included. And the man supports it, and he's now leading Health and Human Services. So I would call that mainstream, but there's a lot of people in the mainstream that don't like him either. So it's just this transition that we're going through right now.
Yeah, it's going to take some time, right? It's the
Yeah.
new technology, the new ways of looking at health and our bodies. And you have been involved, I mean, you have Unified TV, and you talk a little bit about Unified TV, and then I want to talk about Sound of Freedom.
Sure. Let's go back to the Ark of the Covenant connected to Unified TV because this is a big
Okay.
When it came to what they found and what they were saying with the remote viewing, about 5 years ago, I was going on this really big television show. And before I got there, I was going on it because there was this document that I was given called the Pyramid Code that's now on Unified TV for everybody to watch the series. But it was originally written in Hebrew, translated to English and 10 other languages, and then turned into a series. And before it became that big, it was just me trying to get the word out because I thought it was amazing information for people to know, and it resonated with me.
Hmm.
So one of the producers on this station, on this program in this company, said, "We're going to bring you on." And I'm looking at him and I said, first of all, thank you. But I'd like to understand why. Because I'm a young guy. How do you know what I'm saying is true? Where did you validate what I'm saying? Not to tell you not to bring me onto your show, but I'm just curious. You guys are a massive publicly traded company. Why are you bringing me on? And he said, I called a friend of mine, who's now my friend, Patricia Mona, the remote viewer. And in the document, it talks about certain things that are buried underneath the Dome of the Rock today. And one of those things is the Ark of the Covenant, along with a few other objects that I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's all in the document. And he said, I called my friend Patricia Mona, the remote viewer. I gave her coordinates. I didn't tell her anything about it. I didn't tell her where it is. I didn't tell her what she's looking for. I didn't tell her what I was looking to validate. And I asked her for a report. And she came back with a report of a list of things that are directly correlated to what is said is buried beneath the Dome of the Rock in the Pyramid Code document. So I want to read this short thing for you from the document that directly corroborates everything that the CIA shared from those remote viewers. And this was shared 5 years ago before these documents were actually declassified. So it says King Solomon, King David's son, manifested the idea of the first holy temple, but it came at a very heavy price to the people of the nation. The first holy temple was composed of three main parts. The main hall was the first part of the holy temple. The second part of the temple was the main temple, which contained the menorah and the main altar on which incense was burned and animals were sacrificed. The third part of the temple was known as the Holy of Holies, in which the Ark of the Covenant is located, or was located at the time. The Holy of Holies, also known as Dvir in Hebrew, sat on what we know today as the foundation stone, with the Dome of the Rock as we know, within the Dome of the Rock as we know it today. The foundation stone was used as a stand for the Ark of the Covenant. The foundation stone had and still has very strong energy and powers, and its geographical location is the energy center of our planet, as well as the energy center of everything as a whole. The origin of the creation of the energy and creation itself was founded in this geographical location. The place itself is extremely energetically rich. In a straight line deep underground are now the contents of the Holy of Holies, which are concealed there until this very day. The room in which these items were hidden, like the rest of the temple, was designed and built by King Solomon. And it goes to explain where they're located, what's there exactly, how it connects to the pyramids in Egypt and certain things that were used there. And it's interesting because it even says in this document that there are hidden basements underneath the pyramid that nobody has found yet. Now, this came out 5 years ago. A few days ago, those basements were discovered right underneath those 8-cylinder coils. So I bring that up because this isn't just some myth that's being
Sure,
shared
yeah.
on Unified TV. This is something that people thought was crazy 5 years ago when I came out with it. And today is being validated by science. It's being validated by studies and research and archaeologists. And it's pretty amazing. So Unified TV covers that and many, many other things, all the way to like modern investigations on big pharma with people like James O'Keefe, for example. So we have a series called American Swiper. We funded the entire series. He goes or sends somebody to go undercover and expose people on camera with hidden cameras deep in the CIA, high level Disney in the corporation of certain things that are going on there. Um, the FBI, the CIA, big pharma, all these things are being exposed. So that's like the modern side of Unified TV. And my passion is just teaching about health, wellness, and energetic practices that you can actually use to help yourself rebalance your body. So, beyond the light system technology, things that you can do at home that don't cost a dollar to be able to rebalance yourself. So, that's kind of Unified TV in a nutshell. It covers a wide range of things.
Yeah, I know I went there and you have quite a bit. People should go there and check it out because you have quite a bit of things that people will like. And from a journalistic perspective, you take more of a crossover of kind of the middle and not the extremes as much, but people who are more objective and looking at issues.
Yeah, where I like seeing both sides, and then okay, where's the middle ground? There are certain things I can't prove, but they make sense. And if we go based on what you can prove and what makes sense based on everything that you know, that's how you go ahead of your time, where you start figuring things out 20 years before they're
That's right.
shared. You know what I mean?
Yep, I do. So you also got involved in the movie The Sound of Freedom as one of the producers. I've had Paul Hutchinson on multiple times on my show,
He's a good
and
friend of mine.
yeah, he's a great guy. I gotta ask you, people didn't. The Sound of Freedom is that famous movie on that came out last summer on human trafficking,
Yeah.
and the question I have, which is always, been in my head, why has that turned political? Why would the topic of helping victims of human trafficking and stopping it, why would there be a huge contention of people that say it's conspiracy theory?
Let's reverse engineer it. We're going to go back to history for a second. Julius Caesar was a pedophile. We know that. It's common knowledge. It wasn't bad back then. The gladiators were pedophiles. They would sleep with little boys. They were always naked. They did a lot of things that today you would call gay, that back then was just a normal thing. It was a different world back then. Now, there's nothing wrong with that when it comes to the homosexual aspect of it. But when it comes to sleeping with children,
There's
there's
something
a
wrong
whole
with
different
it.
story
Yes.
going on here. So back in the day, it was accepted. Today, it's not accepted. But we know that it happened everywhere back then. So do you think it doesn't happen today? And I'm
Well, it
going to
still
start
happens in
there.
the Middle East on a regular basis too, and that's more open there
Well,
in certain
it
countries. The
happens more.
dancing, the dancing boys, and so there's documentaries about it. But go ahead.
It happens more in the United States than anywhere else because factually, the United States is the biggest consumer of
Mm,
children.
yep.
That's how that it's a very weird and disgusting situation.
And it's not just girls, it's both boys and girls, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And like in some cases 6 months old, a year
Oh
old.
God.
And there are different prices. I mean, if you and I know this because of Paul Hutchinson, where he shared his stories undercover. If you want a Colombian girl that's 8 years old, it's like $2,000. But if you want an American girl that's blonde and 8 years old, it's about $25,000. So they put like, uh,
It's awful.
right?
It's
It's
awful. That's awful. But
I
yes.
don't have words. And then if you want a virgin, it costs more. And what Paul shared with me, which broke my heart, and then I'll answer your question, is he said, when I went undercover and I had to play ball with them before taking them down, and I had to have these conversations with them, when they were making the business model for the sex hotel that you saw in Sound of Freedom in that
Yeah.
storyline, well, one of the women who were the woman traffickers, who was, by the way, like Miss Columbia or something like that, like a widely known woman, came out and she said, well, virgins you can actually sell multiple times. And Paul said, what do you mean? How do you sell a virgin multiple times? And they said, well, if you sell her for $3,000 as a virgin, it only cost $200 to do a surgery to make her a virgin again.
Oh God.
That's the level of sickness that's in our world today. Now, if it happens there, and the United States is the largest consumer of that atrocious thing going on, you really think politicians aren't a part of it?
Wow. No, of course. That's
If
exactly right.
politicians and heads of state and presidents are a part of it, and we know that connected to Jeffrey Epstein, of course they're going to turn it
That's
political.
right. When I had Paul Hutchinson on, he talked about how they had to struggle not to just pull out their gun and take them out right then.
I told
But
him
that would have,
I don't know how you do that. I would have killed the guy in front of me. I
well,
would
and that's what he was struggling with. But if they did that, the kids, I mean, it would have destroyed the whole operation. So they couldn't.
100%.
But man, would you want to?
It's disgusting. But to answer your question, the reason why I believe it's been politicized and they're connecting it to Q and this and that is because they want to make it less than what it is because that's a threat to people that like doing those things. And the people that like doing those things are not just regular people. They're also regular people, but they're also people with very, very high-end connections in the government and so on and so forth.
But so why would an average person that's not involved buy into the conspiracy theory versus seeing victims? And I would think that everyone who wasn't part of it would want to stop it. So the only people who were pushing back were the people involved in it. That's how I would think. But there truly are people who cannot think, who believe it's conspiracy theory, even though there's victims all over the place.
Because we are a nation of people that's easy to control. And the reason why we're easy to control is not just because they got it down to science, and you got to give these people credit for it. They control the world like it's nobody's business, and they do a great job. But there are certain things that they have to do in order to get to that point. You need to do things like put chemicals in your food, chemicals in your water, chemicals in your body through injections and whatnot. Because when you do that, the and not to get like too spiritual here, but the energy of the individual, the soul of the individual, whatever you want to call it, becomes diluted, it becomes
Yep.
diminished, it becomes depleted. And when you're further away from that true essence of yourself, you're kind of just a vessel. You're a vessel that's numb to who you truly are. And when you're just a physical vessel that's numb to who you truly are, I can control you all day because all I have to do is make you scared of something in order to make you listen. For example, I'm going to tell you that
That's
if
right.
you don't take this thing that we've never tested before, that may or may not kill you, you're going to die, right? Because there's this crazy disease going on. And most of the world will say, oh my God, okay, so not only they're telling me this and I'm scared, but the people that are telling me this, they have degrees, they've gone to the top colleges, they must know what they're talking about. So let's just listen to them. And that's really stupid because when you go a level beyond that, the people that are telling us that are paid off by the people that want to control you. So I'm not saying don't listen to the expert, hear what they have to say, but understand that they may be compromised. And it's not always what they're saying to be true. There are a lot of conflicts of interest in this world from a logical standpoint, beyond a theory. We know that. We know that corporations, companies, big families put money before people. We know that when they recall cars, you know what their formula is when they recall a car? Take I forgot which car it was in the 80s. I think it was Ford or Chevy or something like that. They had a car that would blow up every so often because it had a faulty gas tank.
The
Forgot which one.
Pinto or something.
The Pinto,
Yeah.
correct. And people were dying. So they had to have their, what do they call them? They have these individuals that are very smart in calculating what is the pros of this, what are the
Actuaries.
cons? Actuaries, yes. And it's a cost benefit analysis. So the question is, and this is their sick formula in the head, which I understand from a business standpoint, but we're still human beings. They say, okay, how many cars do we think are going to blow up? In the average explosion, how many people die? Let's say it's going to come out to, with the amount of cars that are out there based on our formulas, 85 people are going to be killed by this. Well, how much will it cost to recall the car?
Yeah.
And then they take this cost versus this cost. So 85 people, average person is worth this much in court when they're dead. So this is going to
That's
cost
right.
us 30 million, but this is going to cost us 50 million. So let's just kill them because we'll save $20 million. That's their
Well,
formula.
but Big Pharma is experts at that.
Yes.
I mean, that's what they do. That's their business model.
Well, they have an even better one because they're immune to lawsuits.
Yeah, they do the grand jury stuff and it's all behind the scenes. I just put out an interview with Gardner Harris. If people haven't seen that, it's on Johnson and Johnson. He was the health reporter for the New York Times, and then he was also a White House correspondent. But man, people haven't seen that. What he's putting together on Big Pharma is explosive.
Now the
I'm
question is
impressed with
are
what he's
people
doing.
going to listen? Right?
I don't
Here,
know because he's had, you're right. That's the point because he's had all these countries don't want to listen to him. He's had so many people not want to publish him. That means that people need to listen to him more.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Well, thank you so much for doing. You are a wealth of knowledge, man. You're a dynamo. You're just going. You're living this life like it's your only life. But you want to get to the next one and do even more. So, where can people find you?
Quite a few places. If you just type in my name, Jason Shurka, you'll find all my channels. My main things, really, my main focus right now is obviously my website, jasonshurka.com. You can find me on Instagram and YouTube. I think we're on Rumble as well. I'm not 100% sure. And if you do want to find a wellness center on the Unified Healing Network, you can go to unifiedhealing.com, spelled UNIFYD. We spelled it wrong on purpose to make it cool. UNIFYD, unifiedhealing.com. And if you want to learn more about that technology, it is the Light Systems, in plural, thelightsystems.com.
Thank you so much for joining the program. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sarah.
Subscribe.